Hello friends, parents, teachers, and everyone who cares about kids. Have you ever wondered why some children stay so quiet, almost like they're invisible? In today's video, we're going to talk about the hidden pain of quiet children, and the psychology of emotional neglect. There's an unspoken reality about kids who grow up without being noticed. Many of them turn into adults who doubt they deserve to be seen at all. They walk into a room and immediately make themselves smaller. In relationships, they worry they are too much. Even when they achieve something, instead of feeling proud, they expect it to be brushed aside, as if being invisible has become part of who they are. This doesn't happen because they lack value or ability, but because their sense of self was shaped in silence. Psychologists describe this as an internalized neglect pattern. Over time, the brain learns to expect rejection, to anticipate being dismissed, and to believe that having needs is a problem. A child ignored often enough eventually stops asking. They come to believe that wanting love, comfort, or attention is somehow wrong. Think of a child at a birthday party, gently pulling at a parent's sleeve, hoping for a glance, a smile, any sign that they matter. The child doesn't cry loudly or demand attention, they just fade into quiet. From the outside, nothing dramatic seems to happen. But inside, the child feels a deep crack in their sense of worth. Neglect doesn't always look like abuse. Sometimes it's simply a parent too busy, too tired, or too distracted to notice. It might be unanswered questions, forgotten events, or the absence of eye contact. But the psychological impact runs deep. It affects how children see themselves, how they trust others, and how they form relationships years later. We often say children are resilient. Yes, they adapt, but adapting is not the same as healing. When kids grow up unseen, they learn to shrink their personalities, to bury their feelings, and to convince themselves they are less important than others. These coping strategies may help them survive childhood but often follow them into adulthood, shaping how they love, work, and dream. From a developmental psychology perspective, being acknowledged isn't just nice, it's essential. Research shows children need three things to thrive: safety, stimulation, and connection. Connection, feeling noticed and valued, directly builds a child's sense of identity. John Bowlby, the father of attachment theory, explained that consistent care builds trust, which later guides all future relationships. When that consistency is missing, children may begin to believe, maybe I don't deserve love. Maybe I don't matter. The body remembers too. Neuroscience studies show that when attempts at connection are ignored, the child's stress system activates. Cortisol rises. Over time, their nervous system rewires itself to expect rejection, leaving them anxious and emotionally fragile. And yet, from the outside, they may look like the quiet, easy child. But silence does not mean safety. Emotional neglect leaves scars that don't appear on the skin but show up years later, when that child tries to trust a partner, celebrate an achievement, or share a vulnerable feeling, and runs into the old wound of being unseen. As adults, many of these children struggle with low self-worth. Some avoid relationships for fear of rejection. Others chase approval endlessly, becoming perfectionists or people-pleasers, still hoping for the recognition they missed. Some give up entirely, convinced that nothing they do matters. Most parents who overlook their children don't mean harm. Stress, financial strain, depression, or constant distractions like phones all play a role. But the impact on the child feels the same, no matter the cause. That's why understanding this psychology is so important, because awareness is the first step to breaking the cycle. Ignored children often develop coping skills that look like strengths: independence, achievement, keeping the peace. But beneath them lies exhaustion. The independent child grows into an adult who struggles to trust. The achiever never feels good enough. The peacekeeper can't say no. The pain of being overlooked is hard to talk about. There are no visible scars, no obvious stories, just silence. But silence itself can be traumatic. The absence of something vital is still a wound. Healing begins with recognition. With telling yourself, what I went through matters. My needs were real. My feelings count. Healing is about giving yourself the acknowledgement you didn't receive as a child. Small acts, celebrating your successes, voicing your feelings, setting boundaries, can slowly retrain the nervous system and rebuild trust in yourself. And here's the paradox: the ignored child often grows into one of the most empathetic adults, able to sense others' feelings deeply because they once longed so desperately to be seen. This sensitivity can be a gift, but only if they also learn to turn that care inward. Healing doesn't erase the past, but it reclaims the present. By choosing to see yourself, you break the old cycle. By daring to speak, you undo years of silence. By learning to value your needs, you create space for future generations to feel safe, loved, and acknowledged. So if you were that child, waiting quietly for someone to notice, you matter now. You always did. You were never truly invisible. You were simply waiting to be seen. Challenge question. Now I want to hear from you. What is one way you help children feel valued? Share your ideas in the comments, I'd love to read them. And of course, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos on child psychology, parenting, and emotional healing. Hit the bell so you won't miss the next one. You're not alone in this journey, and neither are our children. Together, we can make sure no child has to suffer in silence.